I worked on that game, that Sonic Boom game. Oh
I was
boy.
gonna ask you about that
I
because
have
I had
never
saw that
heard
you were a
somebody
writer, but I
sound.
had no idea that you were involved with the game too.
I want to point out that when you said I worked on that game, I've never heard somebody sound more depressed in a
The amount
statement.
of pain.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything negative about the game out the gate.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the
uh,
funny thing was, like, so they called the show team in, to do a pass on the script, and we worked on it. And then I remember feeling really optimistic at the end. I was going, I have no experience in video games, and now I'm a writer on a major release game. This is great. I'm gonna
oh.
break into this part of the industry now. And now, if you there's a Wikipedia article of list of video games considered the worst of all time, and we're on it.
Oh, I'm
So
so
I haven't received
sorry.
more work.
So we have Alan Denton with us today, one of
Hey,
the
everybody.
writers for Sonic Boom, as you all might know him most for. But is there anything else that you've done that you might want to talk about or introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Alan Denton. I am a television writer, most notably for a show called Sonic Boom, a Sonic the Hedgehog show that aired on Cartoon Network. Went for 2 seasons, 104 episodes. I was one of the staff writers on that show. And otherwise, I'm a cartoon and animation writer. That's why I'm here.
Dude,
And
no way.
I'm got in touch with Ashley because I just, when Has Been Hotel launched, I just went what is this and how do I get involved? And then she just started talking to me. She was like, "Oh, I can't help you with that, but let's be friends."
I was like,
I
oh, he
can't
makes the
help you
funnies
with
and he
that.
liked the thing that I work on. I want to talk to him. What are your guys' thoughts on fan fictions? Oh boy. Fan fictions are sure fun.
They're
You know,
fine.
they can be fun, but they can also be really not fun.
They can be really cursed. But I mean,
Yes,
I guess the entire point is for people to just express themselves in any way they want and learn and grow. When I was a wee bablet, it's probably a mistake to admit this, but when I was a wee baby, I would write Danny Phantom fan fiction,
Ooh, do you
and
still have it?
I do not, and I'm very sad that
Oh,
I don't. But I remember the
Which
plot.
characters did you write the most fanfic on? Like, who did you focus on? Danny
I'm
or someone else?
I made an OC. Her name was Emma. She was Danny and Sam's ghost daughter, whose body was split down the middle in looking like a ghost and looking like a human. And she had to travel back in time to stop her dad from dying. And it was just this whole fucking
That's-
thing. Little 12-year-old Ashley
Hey, at
wanted
least
to
you were
write this
creative.
epic.
At
But
least
yeah,
you
it
were
was
creative, I guess.
like I to let you guys in on a secret. When you're starting out as a writer trying to get into the industry, you have sample scripts, and everybody writes what they call spec scripts or speculative scripts, and that's just a fantasy episode of a show on TV. It's fan fiction, but we just don't dare call it fan fiction. We say, "Oh, it's my spec script. I wrote a spec Modern Family script and a spec
It's just a
Simpsons script."
highbrow way of saying it. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's how everybody breaks into the industry, really. They just call it the more legit name.
So there's your advice, kiddos. Fucking, instead of calling it fan fiction, just call it spec scripts and you'll earn instant rep bonuses.
Yeah, I would be much more likely if somebody said, "Will you read my Sonic spec script?" as opposed to, "Will you read my Sonic fan fiction?" You know?
So legally, are you allowed to admit whether you've read Sonic fan fiction or not?
um, I am not allowed to read Sonic fan fiction.
That doesn't answer whether you have or
It's
not. Well, isn't that a thing with a lot of properties?
It's to protect, from legalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody, because we did 104 episodes of Sonic Boom, and if I was reading everybody's stuff they sent me, and then we happened to do an episode similar in some way to something I read, even if I didn't come up with that idea or something, and another writer did, it would be legally a problem or a nuisance or something. So they just say, "Don't look at anything. Tell everybody you can't read it."
Yeah, I used to be in the My Little Pony fandom, and one of the writers was a friend of mine, and I would be hanging out with him, and people would walk up and be like, "Hey, can you read my fanfic?" And he would always have to be like, "No, no, I'm sorry," and it would keep happening over and over again. So I think it's like important information for people to know that usually the people who work on a show cannot read fan fiction for legal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But the soul-crushing, like, disappointment when they find that out is always the worst, and I feel so bad.
Send me anything else, just not the show that I've worked on.
Yeah,
And this isn't an
Alan
invitation. Don't send me stuff, but
I'll
in
just
theory.
say.
So, Alan, I'm
Just
gonna
send
send you my
Alan
Danny
fan
Phantom fan
fiction.
fiction once
Okay.
the show's over. Is that okay?
All right, if you find it on the loose leaf paper and scan it, I'll read it.
Alan,
I have an Ed, Edd and Eddie fan comic from like when I was 10. I need to
You
find
made
that.
an Ed, Edd and Eddie fan comic? What?
I did, and I
Why
think
do
I
I-
had the I think I had one of the Ed boys die.
Oh, jeez.
I have
never noticed.
Alan, I'll send you. I have a work in progress book. I'm writing the Alf musical, and I'll send that to you. Yeah, you think that's a bit, and it's not.
Oh God.
Yeah, like that's my thing. I work on the very limited amount of free time I have. I'm like, let me work on the Alf musical.
Send it to me. I'll read it. I don't know what I'm getting into, but I'll read it.
You shouldn't have
All
agreed to
right.
that. I'm learning things I never wanted to learn about my friends. Can we get an Oh Ashley t-shirt? Maybe. We shall see. If I guess let me know. Oh God, the chat is
Look at all
going
these
insane.
people. You guys all want these t-shirts?
If you do it, Ashley, I have a request. If you actually do it,
Oh really?
can you do
Tell
it in the
me.
exact same font as the Got Milk commercials? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Are there any projects anyone present can talk about coming in the future? What's next for you, mad lads, in your paths in life?
I'm planning on taking a shit later.
Dude, I'm really
Oh,
proud
God.
of you.
I haven't eaten today. I can't poop yet.
Dude, high five.
Punk My Spunk says, hello
Oh.
all.
I
Hope
Can
you're...
only go up from here.
I was wondering what it takes to start voice acting. Thanks and love you all. Well, that's going to be one for Michael. Mike.
Are you actually taking a shit? Oh, okay.
Michael!
Well, since you're
happened.
already in a sound booth, let's talk.
Hold on. Give me 1 second to get back to my computer.
No, you stuck to this bit. I'm gonna make you stick to it. So, Michael, tell us about your fascinating voice acting career from the crapper.
I'm gonna cry.
I had to pee so bad.
Oh, jeez.
Alan, remember when I apologized? I want to
Yeah,
reiterate
yeah.
that.
Michael, we need to remember our Mountain Dew.
Yeah, the
lore?
voice acting Twitter we made.
Yeah. Oh
where,
my God!
we-
Yeah,
we-
the voice.
Voice acting tips, and we there was one tweet where I just threw a blue yeti in the trash. Yeah,
We need to
We're
do
like-
that with breaking. We need to do that with breaking blue yetis.
I've got a broken blue yeti that I could just throw around.
I
yeah.
have one too. It's a means, and he does. We were thinking about for a video taking it to a shooting range.
Oh, damn!
God.
You should.
All of those poor broke wannabe
If you need a
voice
second
actors
blue
out there
yeti,
would
I've got
just
mine too.
rage.
Mine is broken as well.
Educate Mr. Non-voice actor. What's the problem with the Blue Yetis?
It's just a very generic, low quality brand that everybody seems to purchase, and it's not. I don't know. Just it's a USB mic as opposed to. It doesn't use an interface system, so it doesn't get mixed well. It's great for people if they're just doing like Skype or Discord calls. I mean, that's fine. Or if you're just jokingly doing like live streams with your friends, like this is fine. That's why I don't give Ashley a hard time for it. But if you're
I don't
actually
have a Blue
trying
Yeti anymore.
you have it in your heart. But like if but if you're actually trying to be professional, whether it be voice acting, ADR, anything like that, and you're using a Blue Yeti, it is garbage. The quality is poor.
I think the Blue Yeti is okay, but like it's not worth the price that they're selling it for, I don't think. Like if you have a Yeti that you got like as a hand-me-down, I think that's acceptable to use just for starting out, just for, fan projects or like personal projects or whatever. But with its price point at around like over $100, there's better options that are cheaper.
You can get way better options for the price. That's part of it.
When I recommend a cheap USB microphone to start off with, I usually opt for the Samson Meteor, because I've used the Samson Meteor mic, which is like $50, and it has a pretty like equal sound to the Yeti, but for half the price.
Yeah.
And it's smaller and very portable.
I will say that is one thing. I get a lot of shit, but I don't. And Michael, I know you do too.
Mm-hmm.
People asking questions on Twitter and stuff. Whenever it comes to equipment setup, I never mind answering those questions. So if people are ever like, Dave, like, this is my budget, what kind of equipment should I get? I will tell you gladly.
Question.
All right, let's move on.
For Dave and Alan, what are some jokes or scenes that you wrote that you had to cut during the writing process?
Oh, I will try to think of some. Like you kill your babies constantly in writing.
That's a good joke to cut, I'll say.
I can tell you there was a whole episode of Sonic Boom that was cut in season 2. There was an episode where Eggman was going to marry Lady Walrus, who's like this fat, rich walrus lady, marry her for her money, and then use her money to then finance the his evil operations. So there was like a whole episode that was like a parody of the wedding episode of every sitcom, but it was just Eggman marrying this horrific walrus lady that nobody likes. And so that was like yeah. And so the episode was recorded, the whole deal, and then they decided instead to make the Shadow episode a double. And so in season 2, Shadow's in a 2-parter episode, and that was originally just one. And so we had to excise the wedding episode in order to extend the Shadow episode. Although that's not a joke, that was just a whole plot that we were sad to see go.
On that note, I actually do have a question. Are there like any ideas that you didn't really like that actually did make it into an episode, or just anything any plots that you didn't really care for that just ended up in any way?
Sure. There's a season 1 episode called Buster that I really don't like, where it's like the character of Styx gets like this little robot dog that she dotes over, and then it's revealed later, oh no, she's the pet's actually a monster by Eggman. And the whole episode was kind of flawed at its premise, because Styx is a character who's really distrustful of technology in general, and like and of course the little robot dude is going to be made by Eggman because he's the only one who makes robots and everything. And it was just like kind of a thing that just kind of snowballed and was a bit of a it was, I think, everyone's least favorite episode. So when my nephew was like, I like the episode with the robot dog, I had to go, oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah, cool.
Kids, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, Alan, are you aware of who Chris Chan is?
Sure am.
We're not doing, no.
I would like to clarify one thing. People think a certain episode of Sonic Boom is about him. It is not. I want to get that out there.
I would not blame you guys for never wanting to venture down that route.
There's an episode where Sonic meets his biggest fan, and it's a misery episode where his biggest fan kidnaps him, and he's got a whole room full of.
That's fun.
And people are like, is that based on Chris Chan? No, it's based on Misery, a very popular movie.
Yeah,
I loved all of the Misery references, and the entire time I was watching it, I was just like, how the fuck did they get away with this?
Did you? I forgive me, I haven't seen the episode, but did you guys do like a play on like the sledgehammer breaking the legs or anything? Or
we didn't do that.
I would say if you were given that, then he could it's like, oh, you can't run anymore until I tell you to. Like,
what he does is Sonic wakes up in a full body cast and assumes that his bones are broken, but he's actually perfectly fine. And it's
oh,
like
okay,
mind
so
game.
it's a placebo effect, yeah.
Yeah, and there was like a joke. People latch onto the joke because he paints a portrait of Sonic with tan arms, and they think that's a Chris Chan reference. But it's just everybody was talking to us about his arms.
I can't
Oh.
read your face.
That's me.
It's you.
There you are.
Yeah.
The speech bubble isn't coming from his face. That's what concerns me.
It's coming from his fist. For Alan, joining the project of Sonic Boom, was there any pressure of messing up an already established franchise with a rabid fan base?
There was a ton of pressure. We just had to kind of like turn off that that pressure brain or the fandom brain, because we had the benefit of it being its own branch, and the redesigning of the characters kind of helped with that, where it's like, this doesn't have all the history of the modern Sonic or classic Sonic. This is its own little sandbox that we can play around in. So that gave us a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, I was terrified what the fans would think about it, especially the new characters that we introduced. The Badger being the big one, who's just a member of the gang in this universe. So, I mean, to deal with that, we just sort of tried to make a show that we liked. And I hope Sonic fans like this too. And mostly they were cool. I think mostly they got it, and the ones who didn't like it, they just kind of didn't watch it. But I think because of the redesign, it wasn't like, you destroyed my childhood. It was more like, I don't like this specific thing. I'll go enjoy the other specific things I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair, and I don't blame you for being nervous at all. I definitely would be too.
Like, it's a big established franchise with like a large fan base they're very, very vocal. So, it's definitely intimidating.
Have opinions.
They certainly do have opinions.
While I still have you here, I need to know one thing. Whose idea was it to make Knuckles a complete meathead?
Oh, man. Well, I guess I would put it on Bill Freiberger, the head writer, at least to the degree that he is, to where he doesn't know how to feed himself. It was sort of, Bill came from the sitcom world, and he found that the Sonic gang was lacking the idiot, and kind of was like, well, Knuckles is strong. Let's lean into the stupid a little bit. So I think it was mostly Bill.
That honestly is one of the best decisions for the entire series. All right. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for watching the live stream. Thank you so much, Alan, for putting up with our shenanigans and joining us. It was great having you. Would you like to list your complaints and regrets?
Yeah. Do you have an HR department I can talk to? Because
yeah, that's sad. Do not reply at gmail.com. You can send all of your complaints there. I will respond promptly.
But Alan, where can people actually find you if they want to find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Alan the Writer, ALAN the Writer.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Be sure to go follow Alan, and be sure to follow Dave Capdeville on twitter.com, and you can find
just at Dave Capdeville. There's no wittiness to it.
But how do you spell Capdeville? That's the thing that's going to confuse most people.
Oh, fuck. It's not at Dave Chappelle, let me tell you that.